Anytime you get a content warning before an episode to a series that had never had a content warning before, you know something's gonna happen that's gonna be disturbing. And this season is pretty good for having some disturbing episodes. I mean, the incredible horror anime Higurashi, yesterday's episode was disturbing as shit. This week's episode of this, to see like a slaughter of kids and just like the way they directed it with the horror on Noe's face, it's understandable, especially given that I think many people who are probably currently watching this show probably weren't expecting something of that level to happen, mainly because the action and the gore and the violence that's been there. I mean, the most horrifying aspects have definitely been on the creepy demonic side of things, right? It's been like vampire typical stuff, so I don't think many people probably expected decapitations and that level of brutality, so I think it's understandable why they threw, just in the rare case that maybe someone wouldn't want to see that, it's there for them. And seriously, I let my guard down. It was, because this happens around, the minute 17 mark of the episode, and I know if you, skim the bar of the actual episode where you can adjust where you are in the episode, you can get previews of when shit will happen, right? Because you'll see little screenshots of what's going on. But, I mean, I just thought it was a backstory that I was like, okay, maybe, we're just gonna see something similar to, a torture scene. That was my assumption, because there's been plenty of points where, even characters like Dami have, strapped up characters, torture style, maybe BDSM style in some cases, but still, I thought maybe they're just gonna, torture Noe. I thought that was gonna be the backstory. Noe was gonna get tortured, but then you get this character, Louis, and I'm like, okay, what's going on with him? Because he's making these stakes, right? And I thought he was gonna kill Noe. I thought that's what was gonna happen. Mainly because when he says, I'm making this as a gift for you, and I know damn well what he's making, it just said to me that, our boy Noe was going to have an attempted murder on his hands. Well, I knew it wasn't going to succeed. At the same time, I thought, that was going to be the emotional point to him, him trying to kill him. But the fact that he made so many stakes so Noe could kill him because he knew his time was limited, and to see who was apparently the grandfather and, the teacher of Noe, and how he comes in and he looks like an absolute demon. I mean, he's pulled straight from the deepest depths of hell before turning into a seemingly normal guy. It's very frightening, and the face of this man, the teacher of Noe, or the grandfather of Louis, I mean, it feels like the demonic face that we've been seeing over the course of the anime to date. I'm not sure if it's exactly him, working with him, or just, some symbiotic parallels, but it's giving me some red flags. I mean, you don't kick the episode off with a Van Gogh Starry Night version of this character going wild, if it's not going to be relevant, especially given the fact that at the end of the episode, it feels like that's the form walking around. And honestly, I would love to say I know where the story wants to go, but I don't. We were inches away from Noe being dead. He was being offered, hey, if you want to go the same place as he is, I can help you do that. And I feel like he was about to give his true name up, and then in comes Best Boy to steal the show once again. And that's kind of the best part of this dynamic, is that over the past, I think especially episodes 3 and 4, someone like Vanitas has very much been a coin toss of good or bad, because the way he talks, the way he interacts, it's very uncertain where he wants to go as a character, right? But to see something like this, you immediately once again want to trust him, because he's the reason Noe gets to go on another day, and he's the savior. And it's hard to say really what's going to happen, because I feel like at this point, Noe and him are probably going to have a pretty strong bond. But I'm curious because it feels like Noe is the type of character who, once he trusts someone, he very much trusts them for life. So I'm curious if that's going to bite him in the ass, because in some ways you might be able to say in his backstory that did happen, right? He put trust in his teacher, his sensei, that everything's going to be fine. He met Dami and Louis, and everything was great in his childhood, and then in comes that moment, and the person who brutally destroyed him was someone who he probably put faith in. And to see that he's very reserved in his modern day in terms of who he interacts with, I mean, the way he still interacts with Dami, I mean, he does whatever she wants, right? So it's there's definitely, I think, a barrier that needs to be overcome, and I'm curious if that's going to be something that's going to be a positive thing for him or not, because I'm still very up in the air of where the two's relationship wants to go, because in a strange way, it feels like someone like Vanitas is kind of on the path of power, but at the same time, he wants to cure. So it's like, I don't know, there's some weird shit going on, but I was very impressed with this episode, especially given the directing of it, because it was pretty much the cutest shit ever for the most part, and you're seeing a lot of great bonding while having some emotional scenes as well, like the fact that it gets brought up, what if, the grandparents were just raising you to eat you, and he gets very obviously upset because, they are his grandparents and they would never do that. I think there's a real big point of heart of this series where, despite it having vampires and this twistedness and this eeriness and this gates of hell opening up almost every episode, you kind of feel like they are people at the end of the day. And I think that's why a scene of someone emotionally snapping, knowing that his time is going to come and that someone will kill him eventually. And even if this man is saying you can live your life and be free, you know damn well that's not going to happen. There's a real humanity part to that, where it's someone who feels captured and isolated and knows can never be free, never live the life they want, as you look at these two, Dami as well as Noe, knowing that they probably will be just fine, and you're going to task your best friend to kill you because you don't want to go out any other way. Like, there's so much twistedness about this, and while sure, if we even compare to like some of the big horror points of this season already, maybe on a visual level this isn't the most gruesome thing we've seen even this week. With that said, given the emotional buildup and the distraught and just how unexpected what they did was, to me it really did catch me by surprise and really hit a home run for me. Because generally with content warnings, I'm used to it being something very sexual, or it would be a torture. Like, those are my two big thoughts walking into something with a content warning. Someone getting violated or someone getting tortured. Those were my thoughts, because really, out of the three characters, one character getting killed I didn't think was going to be warranted for a content warning, but to see the decapitation of children, like, it's understandable. And honestly, I would be shocked if everyone saw exactly what was happening coming before it did. Maybe the build-up of the kids running, but before that, there's pretty much no indicator of what the content warning was going to be, which was pretty great. Full disclosure, I'm re-recording this small section of the video. I had like a minute and a half of me talking about the lighting in this episode, but I did want to make a re-mention of it, even though I had to cut the original part out. I think the lighting in this episode is probably the best we've seen in this series so far. Sure, we're still early into its episode count, but there's been a lot to really appreciate about the production, and lighting is something that doesn't get complimented enough in anime in general. That entire scene that made it have a content warning was so beautifully directed despite being so twisted that many anime could probably take note of, especially if they're going in a horror or thriller direction or anything meant to mess with the characters' minds. Definitely the most powerful episode of the show for sure. I've been very intrigued about Noe's character, and I'm surprised we got to learn so much so soon, especially given that we are getting at least 2 cores of this anime. But great episode, shocking episode, and goddamn, didn't see that one coming. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment, and where do you think it's gonna go after just everything we just experienced. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.